Let's start from the agri sector because the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has placed a ban on the movement of poultry and poultry products from the Greater Accra region to any other region in the country. Now, we're told that 9 out of 14 districts in the Greater Accra region have been affected with the bird flu, apart from the Ashanti and Volta regions.
I wish to state that consequently, poultry and poultry products from the regions experiencing the outbreaks cannot be permitted into regions that are not experiencing outbreaks. And so we are strictly banning every form of poultry and poultry product out of Accra into any other region.
Major entry points in the country are porous. Internal transportation systems are to a large extent not regularized. So how effective will this ban be under these conditions?
Unfortunately, if it's about smuggling, we'll not be able to control that. If they pass through the normal route, you can be sure that you find vet officers.
That was the Deputy Minister of Food and Agriculture in charge of livestock, Dr. Hanabisu. Let me speak to the President of the Poultry Farmers Association of Ghana, Victor Oponje. Thanks so much for being generous with your time with us tonight. Now, let's start from here. Now, most farms in other parts of the country outside the Greater Accra region depend mostly on the Greater Accra region for feed and others. Now, government says a ban has been placed on movement of poultry and poultry products to other regions. Now, how biting is this going to be?
Hello?
Mr. Opon, can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you.
Okay, we'll call you back. Mr. Victor Opon is the president of the Poultry Farmers Association of Ghana. But earlier we told you that the Minister of Food and Agriculture has placed a ban on the movement of poultry and poultry products from the Greater Accra region to other regions of the country. Now, the idea is to contain the bird flu that has been affected or has affected some farms in the Greater Accra region. The Minister of Food and Agriculture says you can't move poultry and poultry products to other parts of the country. Let's try and see if Mr. Victor Pong can now hear me. Mr. Pong, grateful. You can hear me better now, I guess.
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, now let's start from here. Now, we know that your farms in other regions, those farms in other regions rely on feed and from the Greater Accra region. The ministry says you cannot move poultry and poultry products from the Greater Accra region to other regions. I'm asking, how biting is this going to be on your operations in other regions of the country?
Thank you very much, and let me first greet the cherished listeners. Yes, I think it was explained further that we all know we take goods from Accra and its environs to other regions. And it was explained further that we have to seek permit from the veterinary services to enable us transport our inputs to the various regions. And I think it's not going to have any effect on us because we work on the modalities, how best we can be transporting our feed inputs to the various regions. Yeah.
So you're suggesting that it won't affect operations in other regions at all?
Not really, because you just go to the veterinary, they will issue a permit for me so that you will not be disturbed on the road by the security. Yes.
Now, quickly, you spoke about modalities for this particular operation, if the term is right. What are the processes if you want to, let's say, transport feed from Greater Accra to other regions? Quickly run through that for us.
Yeah, assuming you want to bring some feed or ingredients from the Greater Accra region, you just go to the veterinary services and you take permit from the veterinary directorate, and they will issue the permit for you that will allow you to transport the goods from Accra to any region that you want. Because basically, most of our ingredients are from Accra, especially the soya and other things that are imported from outside. You have to transport them from Tema to the other regions. And if you want to control, at least we need to cooperate too. So we just go to the veterinary to collect permit from the veterinary directorate. That will allow you to transport the goods to the region that you want to.
And in terms of the time, you are dealing with poultry birds. Sometimes managing them is really is scarce. In terms of the time frame within which you can move your goods, you think going to the veterinary services, getting permits and all that, you are sure that your farmers won't go through any challenge at all. That's what you're saying?
Well, in most cases, we have middlemen who are also into that businesses. And we don't let our goods get finished at the farm before we go in for another one.
Okay.
So by the time you make your order, that person has to look for the permit in order to allow him to transport it. Otherwise, definitely, once that statement has come out, the security will be disturbing you. So I don't think the veterinary are going to give us, they are going to waste time on this thing. I think we need to discuss further so that they will delegate somebody who will be in charge of that, so that it will be easier for them to get a permit to transport the goods to various regions.
Let me pick your brains on this. From what you've just told us, if it is simply a matter of picking a permit before moving poultry products and poultry, why would government want to place a ban on the movement instead of perhaps issuing an order that every poultry product would have to get permit from the veterinary services before it is moved to the other region?
Well, what we heard today was that there was a feed miller who was also a poultry farmer. And that guy contracted bird flu at his farm, and at the same time, he is a feed miller. So definitely, they were of the view that once he has the bird flu, it can affect the feed that he's supplying to other farmers. And that was the main reason why these things were added to it. Other than that, it would have been the live birds and other things from Accra to other places. And once they saw that the feed miller, who is also a poultry farmer, has had the bird flu, it means they have to extend the ban to the feed and other things so that it can be controlled and it will avoid spreading of the disease to other places.
Let's wrap up this conversation on this. First, you're telling me that your members won't in any way lose anything with the ban in place.
You mean the banning of the feed?
The banning of moving poultry products from Greater Accra to other regions. Your members won't lose anything at all.
Well, I think arrangement is done. So those who are into that business, at least they will go there for the permit. And as I told you, we don't buy the goods directly. They bring them to us. So the arrangement will be made so that they can go for the permit to enable them bring the feed. But as a farmer, you don't have to wait for your feed to get finished before you arrange for a new one. Definitely you have stock, and you have to be abreast with the stock so that before it gets finished, new ones must be. So we always have to update ourselves so that we make our orders earlier.
How should farmers contribute to this ban to ensure its effectiveness?
As the minister said, the ban is around some districts in Accra. And we know that the bird flu is around Accra and its environs, about 9 districts.
Right.
So if you are not able to contain it, it will get out of hand because it will be spreading to other regions. And this bird flu has a few days gestation, about 3 to 7 days. And this can destroy the birds and the industry. So if it is not contained very well, it will affect the industry. So that's the reason why we all have to cooperate with the new statement that has come. We know it will be a short time. It will not take the whole year. It will be a short time, but we need to clear the bird flu from the system, and that's the means that we can use to do that.
Especially when we are getting to Christmas. Finally, is the association thinking of asking for compensation for birds that your members will lose to the bird flu?
You mean the compensation?
Yes, for birds that contract the flu and to get killed.
Yes, I think they talked about that one too, and the minister made it clear that they will pay 90% of the birds that will be slaughtered by the veterinary services. It's not a matter of you declaring the quantity of birds there, but the birds that they will destroy, they will pay 90% of it. But still, we have been assured that we will be called to negotiate. So the modalities will come out. We don't know the modality yet, but we know the farmers, we will arrange for a better thing for the farmers.
Okay. Grateful. Victor Pointe is the president of the Poultry Farmers Association of Ghana, talking to me on the outbreak of the bird flu there. We'll move to the health sector. Quite key here. Doctors on strike engaging a lot of attention, but we're still saying not the big one. The maternity unit and the accident center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, one of the teaching facilities in the country, is yet to return to full operations as directed by the Minister of Health. Now, don't forget that in an earlier press conference, the Minister of Health has told the public that those facilities are to resume full operations, and all doctors or health personnel who report to work are to be documented and sent to the ministry. Now, Catherine Frimpong was around and went to these hospitals and said that the accident center and the maternity unit were yet to resume full operations.
Some pregnant women reported at the maternity units expecting full services to be restored per the health minister's directive. Instead, this notice clearly indicating no emergency and OPD services left them disappointed. Nothing was happening behind this door, yet others waited hoping to see a doctor. We met an unusually empty OPD. We were told it's the same in the wards, but we were not given access to the wards. Nurses on duty will not answer any question, directing the crew to get all answers from the Deputy Director of Nursing Services, but she was not available for comment. The situation was not any different at the accident center. The health minister directed heads of public health facilities to resume full operations at the hospitals as they persuade the striking doctors to return to work.
Right, so the health minister asking these facilities to restore full services by the close of day today. That's what we picked from Kolebu. Now, the GMA, the Ghana Medical Association, issued a press statement, particularly in reference to what the health minister said in that conference. Now, it asks its members to stay resolute in the face of what the GMA calls threats and intimidations from government. Now, the statement, which was issued today, Wednesday, August 19, said the GMA would like to assure all its members that those threats and intimidations should not in any way water down our resolve in seeking for a proper, documented, and negotiated conditions of service. Now, the Minister of Health, that's what I told you earlier, has called on striking doctors to return to work, announcing that those who don't will forfeit their August salaries, as the action, he said, is illegal. Now, Mr. Segbefia also called on heads of public health facilities to reopen those facilities for full operations from Wednesday. Now, the statement by the GMA, signed by the President, Kwabena Opoku-Edusei, and General Secretary Frank Srebo, advised members not to allow the Minister of Health to use them as bargaining chips in what they call a fight. Mr. Segbefi also announced that Cuban doctors will be falling on to hold a fort as government hopes to resume negotiations with the striking doctors. The GMA said it has no qualms with the Minister of Health bringing in Cuban doctors into the country to provide health care for Ghanaians. But this is what they said. They said it is important to know that these Cubans are not engaged for free. Now, they said the matter is that they are indeed paid better than their Ghanaian counterparts and are engaged under proper conditions of service, which include a fully furnished accommodation, free utilities, fuel, free health care, and an air ticket to travel once a year back home to visit their families. And as a result of the GMA says, members, please continue the fight even to save the next generation. Don't back out. Stay resolute. That's according to the Ghana Medical Association. Okay, let me go to the Bunahafo region and perhaps check what's happening there as far as the call for these facilities to open and then what perhaps private health facilities are doing. Gabriel Benaku is the national chairman of the Coalition of Non-Governmental Organizations in Health. He's just joined me. Gabriel, once again, we're grateful. Now, can you paint a picture of what is happening in the Bunahafo region?
Yeah, good evening, Ghana, and good evening to everybody listening.
Good evening, Gabriel.
Let me first congratulate the Bunahafo regional team for a good job done. They are doing well. And today the region is having their review, half-year review meeting, and I participated. At the same time, I also visited some of the health facilities. They are doing well. I have to congratulate the leadership in the Bunahafo, including the regional minister. But the situation is still not good for us as a country, and I keep on saying that government need to be a bit down to listen to the situation and act appropriately.
Gabriel, when you say the region is doing well, precisely what do you mean?
What I mean is that most of the health facilities are very active and doctors are working.
Are these doctors under the GMA?
Yes, most of them decline to actually tell me, but you know, everybody, most of the doctors are part of the GMA. But they just don't want to declare it. But they said they are working, and I've seen them working.
So you want to confirm that public health facilities in the Bunahafo region are working, doctors are working. What about private hospitals? What is the situation with private hospitals?
Private facilities are working. Yesterday I was in Tichima, in Kuranga, and I went to some of the districts, not the municipal. So I visited 5 districts, 3 districts and 2 municipals. And today I visited 5, and all of them are working. The situation is good in Bunahafo. I checked on the other regions and it's good. But the situation at the national level, especially in Accra and Kumasi, it's not still palatable, and it's not good indication that if we continue that way, a lot of people are going to suffer. And that's why we continue to plead with the leadership of government and also the GMA. I know that this evening there has been some another move again for renegotiation.
Right.
And as we keep on mentioning, the coalition has always been very clear on it. What we say is that the negotiation must be managed professionally.
Great.
The negotiation must respect the two parties as employer and employee. The environment must be created for people to have peace of mind and respect, dignity, recognition, to air their grievances, and the process must allow for tangible outcomes at the negotiation.
Okay.
The parties must not take entrenched positions. They must recognize that now the Labour Commission has issued a statement. They must take it in good faith and they must begin to do it. But I want to recommend to the National Labour Commission that it's not just about issuing a statement, but it's about creating a fair, balanced, and conducive environment for the two parties to really sit down. We, the Ghanaians, have done our best by appealing to doctors to go for the negotiation, but at the same time, we also need to appeal to government to soften their stand to allow a safe environment for the negotiation to take place.
Grateful. Gabriel Benaku is the National Chairman, Ghana Coalition of Non-Governmental Organizations in Health there, talking from the Bunahafo region. That's how we wrap up on the big one. If you missed it, don't worry. Go to TV3network.com. You can watch a full playback of this.